What's up, y'all? Erroneous here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about this new champion, ARTOR. Okay, IUDEX ARTOR, decent champion. I want to go over where I rank him, how well is he going to be on your account. Should you even be going for this guy in terms of leveling him up once you get him? Should you actually put your resources into him right away? And then also this event that they just randomly smacked onto us, just randomly. They didn't actually talk about it, I don't think, in the chats. They just kind of said, hey, here's a Community Week's Titan event alongside IUDEX, so you can get yourself a 5-star for him right away, which will give you a lot more in terms of damage, in terms of accuracy and resistance, which is going to be great on the champion. So to talk about the champion a little bit, I don't think he's insane. I think he's good. I think he's above average. Especially for a free champion. He's a good champion for anybody's account. I wouldn't say he's going to be great for, like, super great for endgame players, because you're probably already going to have a ton of different champions to utilize. But if you don't have a lot of legendary champions for the Sacred Order, then he might actually come in clutch for you, right? Especially for faction wars. Now, this is on my commons and uncommons only account, but so legendaries really don't matter at all. But for this guy here, attacks all enemies is actually pretty strong, and then heals all allies by 5% of his max HP. So he is a support champion. He's based on attack, which is really frustrating. So you kind of want him to have a lot of HP, not attack. I don't think he's going to be your damage dealer by any means. He does have a pretty cool looking skin. He does kind of look like one of the skins that you would get from hitting platinum in arena. So one of the cooler avatars out there, to be honest. He actually has probably a top 10 avatar, in my opinion. It just looks super cool as an avatar, I'm not gonna lie. So in general, this guy, AoE, you can put him in a stun set, pretty awesome. You can put him in a provoke set, pretty awesome as well, especially if you need it for the Hydra. You can put him in a hex set as well. If you need him early game, it's gonna be really strong. So he's great for progression. Absolutely great for progression. You can't take that away from this guy. Increase attack and strengthen buff on all allies. Fills turn meter of all allies by 15%. He could be a turn meter booster for you, but he's not the best turn meter booster out there. He's pretty decent though, because he has a speed in arena battles by 25%. So this is a great progression champion. Great for early and mid game players. Some late game players, but mostly for early and mid game. 25% speed aura in arena is actually pretty strong. It's better than Lysandra. Lysandra has a 24% speed aura. But I believe Lysandra has an all battles speed aura, if I'm not mistaken. She is a high elf. Let me go ahead and compare against Lysandra. Yeah, so she has it in all battles, so it's still much better of an aura in general. However, he is also a spirit champion like Lysandra, but he also places an increased attack and strengthen on your entire team, which is pretty powerful if you're trying to survive. So him in like full protection set would also be very strong, because protection gives you additional benefits if you can get a 9-piece protection, especially on him when he's placing a lot of buffs on your allies. So 2 buffs for each ally. Getting those protected is pretty good, especially the strengthen buff is really nice. You could also throw this guy into a bolster set if you wanted to as well. You could put him in a multitude of different sets potentially for gearing. He's not a bad champion, but for my account, on my main free-to-play account, I'm probably not going to build him right away, but I would build him for faction wars, because I don't have a ton of legendaries for the Sacred Order. I have a few, but nothing crazy. I think actually now with the addition of Alice, everybody should have her if you played the game a few months back. So Alice is also super strong. She's going to pair well with him, with the increased attack that he gives her, with the strengthen that he gives her, especially in arena. She also has an increased attack in all battles for an aura, so she would pair well with IUDEX if you don't really have a great speed aura on your team, especially if you're early game. So very, very strong in that sense. And then here, I wish he had an extra turn though. I really wish he granted an extra turn. If he did, then he would be very, very strong. Much stronger than he is. And the reason why is because his A3 has a revive. Revives an ally with 50% HP, 50% turn meter, also places an increased attack on them for 1 turn. Basically, he's trying to get your damage dealer to take a turn. So he's supporting that damage dealer that you have on your team to hopefully come back and maybe win the game. So then it activates the revived ally's default skill, targeting the enemy with the lowest HP, which is pretty strong. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. I wish this was a 3-turn cooldown because it's only reviving 1 ally. So it's not like crazy by any means. And then on his passive, if an enemy is killed by the ally's default skill after being revived, resets the cooldown of revival, this one right here. So he would also be really, really strong with Phoenix, who is an epic champion in Sacred Order. So Phoenix is going to be strong with him, especially if you have a champion that can place debuffs because he'll get a double hit with Phoenix. So Phoenix is strong. He is strong. I don't know, though, if you can use this ability without... It has to be a revive, I think. Yeah, it has to be a revive on that champion. So basically, you're trying to go second. That's the other downside of ARTOR in this ability. If this ability was usable without having to revive somebody, then that would be pretty sweet. But because you have to rely on a person dying, this is not that great. So if you're going to utilize him in arena, then it's not going to be as impactful because going second is really difficult these days. You would have to have like super high res, you know, double stone skin to be able to get the revive off. But mainly you're probably going to build him with high speeds. You're probably not going to build him super, super slow. And then he would only be used as like a one-trick pony at that point. So you're probably going to build him really fast so you can utilize him in PvE. And you're probably going to want to focus on increasing the turn meter of your allies and putting increased attack and strengthen on them. The other downside is if this was places a block debuffs buff as well. So block debuffs on the entire team for even 1 turn would have been really amazing, because now you're getting somewhere in live arena or regular arena, especially if you're facing Torments and stuff like that. You know, you're going to get frozen. Even in Doom Tower, you're going to get frozen by Torments and Doom Tower with this guy on the team, unless he has high res. So that's the one thing, the downside, I feel like. And plus, this passive is on a 3-turn cooldown and you have to book it. It's typically 4-turn. And I wouldn't waste my books on this guy right away, unless you're really early game and you just don't have good luck in pulling legendaries. Then yeah, you could book him. He doesn't have to take a ton of books. He has 4, 6, 8, only 9 books. So that's really low for a legendary. Only 9 books is not bad. But again, if you get the 5-star on him, that's a different story though. So let me hop over here, take a look at the path event. And we look at the Community Week's path event here, the Titan event, rather, not the path event. So first one, 1 star. Everybody should be able to get at least 1 star. I recommend at least trying to go for the 3-star. Pretty much most players, if you're playing pretty consistently, you're more than likely going to get the 3-star. I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult. Now the 4-star and 5-star, now you might need to put in a little bit more legwork here. You might need to spend a little bit more resources in terms of possibly using gems to refill energy when you're doing Dungeon Divers events or things of that nature that require you to get these Titan points. So I do recommend at least going for the 3-star, because 3-star is going to give you HP and defense, which is great for this champion, even though he's based on attack, which again, I don't understand why they did that. I really, really wish they just made him based on HP, because then you can build this with HP damage. You could do, I'm sure he doesn't do much damage, but you could go with a little bit of damage on him if you wanted to, and focus solely on, because I know some people are going to see this and they're going to think attack when they're early game or mid game and be like, okay, let me stack up a bunch of attack on him. And then it's not going to do well, because he's not going to do well because he's not a damage dealer. But if it was HP, then you have more of a opportunity to potentially go for a little bit of damage, but I wouldn't go full damage on this guy anyways. I would mostly just go for support, because he has high HP and decent defense at rank 6. So going through here, if you're going to get a 5-star, I don't personally recommend it. I don't think he has debuffs either. So no debuffs in his kit. It's pointless to get the 5-star because he doesn't do debuffs, right? Now resistance, some might say, well, I can get higher resistance on this guy. I mean, again, like I said earlier, you're really going to want to utilize this guy for the incense of inspiration. You're going to want to utilize him for the aura, the speed aura in arena. That's very, very helpful, especially if you don't have a lot of champions with a good speed aura in arena or all battles. That's going to be very impactful for your team, especially when you're earlier mid game. Again, this guy is mainly for early mid game players, in my opinion. Attacks all enemies and then heals all allies by 5% of this champ's max HP. Again, very good for Hydra, and also decent for Clan Boss because of the strengthen and increase attack. So you're putting 2 buffs on your allies and filling their turn meter every time, which is very nice. And then he can revive a champion too, and that revived champion will attack the Clan Boss. It's not going to kill them though, so he'll never get a reset on the revival mandate, unfortunately. But this guy's going to be super, super impactful. The main area is going to be Faction Wars. That's where I think he's going to be utilized. And also Curse City. Keep in mind Curse City as well. So he'll be very strong in those areas for PvE mainly. PvP, he's going to be okay. But again, wouldn't make sense to go for milestone 5 on him unless you just have the crazy amount of resources on hand and you want to push for it. I would recommend going for this if you are trying to get a primal shard. Primal shards are extremely impactful, especially if you don't spend in this game or you spend very little in this game, and primal shards are very hard to come by. That's your chance and only opportunity, other than the shards from Curse City, the remnant shards. That's your only chance to get a mythical champion. So keep that in mind. And 250 gems is a lot, and then a 5-star chicken. Chaos Dusk is a lot too. A Void Shard is also great to come by if you want to try to get Void Legendaries. Again, that's the only way you can get Void Legendaries, unless you do a guaranteed event, but you're still having to pull Void Shards. That's the only way you can get a Void Legendary, right? And then, or fusions, unless you're going for a fusion champion. But yeah, so I recommend 3-star, and that's pretty much it here. If you want to go further, go further. I would definitely highly recommend getting a Primal if you can get it. But if you can't, no big deal. I mean, you can get Primals other ways. By farming live arena, by pushing tournaments and events when they have primal quartz available for you, and also just farm away at remnant shards from the Cursed City. So there you have it. That's what I think about that guy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Is he worth going building up on your account? Yes, if you're early mid game and some late game, especially if you're trying to progress in the new hard mode Faction Wars that comes out soon, then yes, he's definitely worth it. Other than that, I wouldn't recommend utilizing him in arena if you have better options available. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on a video soon. Take care.